Faces and Places. Faces and Places podcast.
Hi everyone, it's Faces and Places podcast, and it's the podcast where we're telling you an inspiring stories of interesting people. I just can't wait to introduce you our new guest, Dreams, a hip-hop artist and music producer from the US. Hi Dreams.
What's up?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for being our guest. We're really excited as well, and we appreciate that you are participating in our podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's start with a simple introduction. Could you please tell our audience who are you, where are you from, where do you live now, and then we will continue with the stuff which you are doing in your life.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm Dreams. I'm a songwriter. I don't even really like to call myself an artist anymore. I think I just came upon that like last night. Like, I'm more of just like an overall creative. Like, you know what I mean? I was a recording artist, so I'm still dibbling dabbling in that. But a little bit more than that, I'm an inspiration curator. I'm a cultural visionary. I'm a imperfect perfectionist. A list of other things, man, you know. I'm born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. A lot of people don't even know there's people like me there. But born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. I've been in LA for like the last 4 years. So, yeah, that's where we at now.
Do you feel like a big difference between those two places?
For sure. Major difference. Connecticut is not really a place that has a super large music market. You know what I mean? Especially in cities like where I'm from in New Haven, it's not so many opportunities, at least positive or legal ones, to be honest. So obviously everybody knows what the opportunity has in LA, especially if you do it the right way and utilize it the right way. So total opposites when you talking about the entertainment industry for sure.
Could you tell us more how and when your music career has started, and which topics like you are aware in your music?
Right. I always be giving different answers with this question, and it's kind of just like based on where we really want to start. You know what I mean? If we talking like where I started my actual music career, I probably would say senior year in high school, I got my first management deal with a local company. So I kind of use that as my base of like, okay, this is where I can say I officially started. You know what I mean? I officially started something career-wise. My senior year in high school, I was when I was rapping, I had a management company and a label deal. You know, it was local, but I trying to use that as my standpoint. But if we talking as far as music as a whole, I think I was almost born with it in a way. You know what I'm saying? I think when I was like 2 or 3 years old, I had a Mickey Mouse cassette player and an MC Hammer dial, and I was in the Unity Boys choir, played the drums, played trombone and band. So music has like always been a part of my upbringing and part of my journey. But you know what I mean? Again, if we talking about where my music career started, I would say in high school, senior year of high school.
So, like, what was the first song you heard that inspired you to want, like, to pick up the microphone and to start doing the music?
Again, this could be a multitude of answers. If we talking about childhood, it would probably be MC Hammer, Can't Touch This for sure. I felt like as a kid that was like, I thought that was the greatest, like the greatest rap song. He was dancing, he had on big pants. I was like, this is like super cool, like, you know what I mean? But when I got older, I think it was more in the Biggie Smalls, Juicy, Tupac Shakur, Keep Your Head Up. Songs like that really inspired me to be like, wow, you can really impact people and you can really touch people, save people, or change people with the things that you talk about in rap. You know what I mean? So I would say those are probably like those are like the two pioneers of rap that kind of got me to be like, okay, I think I really want to do that. And then I also grew up in an era where battle rap was huge, Rockefeller was huge, you know what I mean? State Property, Young Guns, all of that stuff, Dipset, G-Unit. So that whole era in itself was very inspirational and kind of curved my creativity, if you will, from that era. But if I had to pick a song or two, it would for sure be the Juicy and the Keep Your Head Up for sure.
You call yourself King Dreams, right? So is it a real name? I already know the answer, but like, I want to know, like, where is it coming from?
Right. No, it's not my real name, though. It actually sounds like it could be, though. My real name is Paige. I'm named after my father.
Is it like American name?
Yes. Yep. It's actually a unisex name, believe it or not. For my whole life, everybody thought I was a girl until they actually see me. And it was like, oh, he's actually a boy.
Surprise!
Right.
And why did you decide like to take King Dreams?
I think
nickname?
I came up with the name Dreams. I was in high school for sure because I remember once I got that management situation senior year, I was already Dream. So probably maybe around sophomore, junior year in high school. Not to date myself, but that probably was 2004, 2005 or so. So I've been Dreams for a long while. The King part actually came from an A&R from two reasons. One, an A&R that I had a meeting with years ago, probably like 2011. He was like, you should add something on the front of that. It might sound a little cool. And he threw that out, and I kind of just ran with it. And the other part that made it really stick out is I'm a huge Martin Luther King fan. Like I went to Martin Luther King Elementary School, so even the Dreams and kind of combining that together was like super cool to me. You know what I mean? So that's kind of putting those two together is why I came up with adding King on it. But now I actually just go by Dreams. I kind of took the King off of it, not for no specific reason. I just kind of just felt Dreams had a better ring to it now, what I more so wanted to represent these days. But that's kind of where the name kind of derived from. And when I originally came up with Dreams, I just wanted something that really represented what I stood for, what I wanted to talk about, you know. And honestly, like I said, coming from where I come from, the only thing I felt I had left, you know what I mean, as far as my outlook on life at the time, you know what I mean? Totally different outlook now, but at the time, that was the viewpoint of what I felt like life was, what my options were, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So like if we will still stay with King Dreams, I've got two questions at the same time. Like, are you a shy person, a modest person? Like, that's it's kind of like sarcastic to King.
Right.
And how do you consider yourself?
I'm actually a super introvert, honestly. I usually don't like to talk much unless you know you're locked in with me or if you're close friends or things like that. Like a lot of my friends or like my girl, anybody like that, if they always say like if people really knew how crazy you was, they would have no idea. You know what I mean? But outside, I'm usually an introvert. Like I don't really do too much. But at the same time, I have a button that I could hit when it's time to get in rap mode, or it's time to get in artistry mode, or it's time to get in creative mode, or even when it's time to get in inspiration mode. When it's time for me to talk and feel like I can tap in and change somebody or do whatever it is I could do with my message, I become a totally different person, you know what I mean, and hit a whole different switch. So it's a little bit of both, you know what I mean? The normal me is more of an introvert, but the inspiration, creative, curator type of person is a little bit different.
Yeah. So like you are an introvert and a dreamer.
Right. Introverted cool kid is what I always called it.
Awesome. How does the music you make reflect your personal experiences and beliefs?
That's a good question. It literally is, though. I think my music, I say this every interview. I think that I literally just talk about life, and I found out a cool way to make it rhyme. And that basically means that nothing is made up. This is my real story. This is the real me. This is how I really think. These are my emotions. These are what I really feel, and this is what I really want to convey about me. So I really think, like how I was just saying, my real name is Paige. I think the real Paige and Dreams are just about the same person. It's not a facade that I put on. It's not it's not something that I make up for entertainment. It's really me. These are my real stories. These are my real blood, sweat, and tears that I've experienced that I really kind of convey through my records. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, it's literally based on true events, based on a real life story, like almost like when you watch TV and you see real crime shows that are based on true events. It's like that type of thing. It's not really so much made up and created for the attention. It's more so the real story.
So did you have a lot of like struggles and hard moments in your life? For sure. I think again, coming from where places like I come from, it's we kind of behind the eight ball before we even get an opportunity to get out of that corner, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Poverty, not me specifically, but drugs and gun violence and murder and
that type of thing come from urban cities like mine. So when you born in that and you raised in that, and like I said, my dad actually just came home from doing 23 years in prison. I don't say that as a gloat. I say that as a representation of what life was for me young and what life is for a lot of black, kids growing up in that type of urban environment. So when you raise like that, you don't have a lot of options, or at least you feel like you don't have a lot of options. I learned now that we actually have all the options. But, so with that said, it's kind of like your experience is what molds you. Your experience is what make you who you are. And, so I'm grateful for everything that I experienced thus far, even the bad things. So for sure, the struggle has impacted my life. I think when I was younger, I had a way harder time of being able to cope and being able to figure out how to weed my way through my anger issues and weed my way through my emotional trauma of things that I experienced. But again, that's what my music is. I think if I didn't experience those things, I wouldn't be able to save the next person, because I wouldn't have the real life experience to tell you what to do or not do, because I didn't experience it myself. So I think it's a good and bad karma type of thing when you talk about that type of upbringing.
Yeah, and I would say that's like the music was kind of therapy for you, right?
For sure. That's a good way to put it. Literally say that. The music is literally therapeutic. I think that it's my way. It's everybody has their form of expression. You know what I mean? Some people draw. Some people go on a run. Some people do whatever it is they do. And for people who like me, who were blessed with a gift to be able to express it in this form, it's beautiful, because I literally think that if I didn't have music to express myself the way that I was able to do over the last 20 plus years, I would think that I would be dead or in jail. You know what I mean? And so with that said, it's like literally saved my life. And it's not to sound cliche, but I think in its literal form that if I didn't have music to be able to express the way that I do, I would have either killed somebody myself at a younger age, or had somebody kill me, or been in jail based off of decisions of just because I wasn't able to express myself in the way that I needed to. You know what I mean? So for sure, music was a lifesaver. Still to this day, honestly.
Yeah. And do you remember your first or like the most memorable performance or show like which you had like through your career?
I have a few. I have a couple. I think one would be, I did a show one time in my city where it was like I headlined it, right? And I was young. I probably was like, this is when I first had that first management deal. So it was a small spot, small venue, but a pretty popular place called Toad's Place in my city. But I headlined it. And I don't want to say I sold it out, but it was a pretty crowd, and it was all family, it was all friends, it was my aunts, it was my uncles, it was my classmates. It was like, you know what I mean? To me at that time, that was what success looked like. That's what success felt like to me at that time. Just to have people acknowledge you for your gift and be like, okay, he really tapped in. He really, you know what I mean? I'm 17 years old from a city like that. That was like the high, you know what I mean? So I think that show was one of my greatest shows to this day. And again, that was 16, 17, almost 18 years ago. And I think that was one of my greatest ones. And then I would say, other than that, I would probably say I can't pick one because they all were pretty cool. Maybe one of my tour stops, maybe like the first J. Cole show when I toured with Cole was probably one of my greatest ones, because that was one of the first times where I was able to perform for over 10 to 15,000 people, and really people react like, oh, you know what I mean? So I think those are probably my two. I don't know if it was that one. I know that one was cool because at that time I still am a huge J. Cole fan. So at that time it was like, oh, this is crazy. And I was still young at that time. I probably was like 23 or something like at that time. So I think those 2 points were very pivotal shows and very symbolic in my career, for sure.
Who are like some music artists you had the privilege to cross paths? Maybe you have some like those bright examples.
Like I said, I toured with Cole, I toured with Rick Ross. I'm open and act for like numerous people. Wiz Khalifa, French Montana, numerous people. I did a Steve Aoki tour, which was actually I should have named that one. That was one of the coolest shows also, because the crowd was crossover. So can you imagine 16,000 college kids in the arena, you know what I mean, of all different races. That was actually one of the coolest shows too. But since I've been in LA, just worked with a lot of different people, like the OJs to Sweetie to like Maya to some of the newer acts that are like, young drill music to older acts. So it's like I just been kind of just a variation of sounds, a variation of genres, and just being able to experience different sounds. And the cool part is, I always I pride myself on being able to walk in any room and still remain myself. Not just me as a person, but me with my gift. Meaning, like, if I walk in a room full of lyricists, I'm still probably one of the best in the room. If I walk in a room full of R&B writers, I still could possibly be one of the best in the room. You know what I mean? So I pride myself on being able to keep my versatility at a very high level. But with that said, so many different artists at so many different levels that I've been tapped in with over the years that kind of helped me see where I am in my growth. You know what I mean?
Do you consider yourself as successful artist? And like, what is success for you? Because in my opinion, it's like a very subjective word. Would you agree with that? Or
For
or
sure.
like, what's your opinion about it?
I agree 100%. I had this same talk in a different interview the other day when he asked, what does success mean to you, right? And I always have this thing that I also always say, it's also about what you want to get out of something, right? So meaning to success to me, I believe I've exceeded by far the success rate of what I thought I was going to do coming into this. Meaning, at the beginning, I did think that success meant something different. I thought that success was a certain level of fame. I thought success meant you had to have the biggest house in whatever place that you wanted to live. I thought you had to have a Ferrari, and I thought you had to have a certain amount of money, and people had to run up to you and take pictures of you every time they seen you outside, right? At a time, I thought that's what success meant. And as I got older and I matured, I started to learn that success was what I wanted to be, right? And like I was talking about earlier when I had that local show, right? And I had to really backtrack and understand to myself what I felt like on that stage, just around people that loved me. And just being able to do what you love for a living is success to me, right? And I also think success for me personally connects into what your purpose is, right? And what you were sent here to do. And me personally, I was sent here to inspire people, to motivate people, to change people or save people with things that I experienced through my story and that I convey through my music. So if I connect that to success, the more that I'm able to do that, every time somebody hit me in a DM or a comment or a text or a call and be like, bro, that verse really got me through my day, or I was down and the verse that you did really lifted me up, that's success to me. And that doesn't have no monetary value on it. It's just about being able to touch people and being able to impact lives through music. So that's if I had to answer it in a nutshell, success to me is being able to inspire people and being able to cultivate emotions through my music.
So like nowadays, I think it's also hard to be a music artist. What's the hardest thing for you, like about being a music artist today, and how like you stay motivated and inspired, continue creating the music, basically?
I got a couple different answers for that one. Good question though. I think that me personally, I kind of took a step back from the being an artist side and being on the rap side specifically for a multitude of reasons. One, the game is just totally different. Like, you know what I mean? Like I mentioned earlier, of being inspired by MC Hammers and Biggie and Tupac and that whole era of music is totally different than the music is now. I think the music is ran by an algorithm. The music is ran by playlisters and curators, and the kids running whatever the most popular thing on TikTok is. It's a whole different world for creators to be able to survive, and from a monetary stance, and just not even that, just to be able to get your art off and let it be loved and let it be, let it live a little bit. So that was probably the most important thing in it, that my art is not as received or I'm not gonna say it's not received, it's not as respected, I should say, as it was at a time. Not me specifically, but my form of art, lyricism and heartfelt emotion and the vulnerability in the music. And again, people like Coles and people like the Kendricks and people of that nature who really talk about a certain content, it's harder, if you're not that big of an artist at least, to be able to captivate an audience the same type of way, right? So that's one stance of it. The other's equally as important thing is rappers and entertainers are getting killed at an all-time high. Like, you know what I mean? If we look in the news, you see rappers in major cities, and we talking huge artists from Nipsey to Dolph to, and the list goes on. And I hate to be able to even have a list of people that are black male rappers who came in this thing to do a certain thing from certain places to overcome a certain type of struggle and get killed doing what you love. You know what I mean? So again, coming from a city like mine's, that's what I grew up in. I did that in the streets already. So to have to try to face that same type of obstacle in my career felt like I was moving backwards. You know what I mean? So combining that with what I said about the culture in the state of the era musically, it made me feel like I just wanted to take a step back. You know what I mean? So I think it's something to really think about when you think about becoming an artist, at least a rapper, because it's even if you're not talking about that type of thing, because again, I don't talk about that type of thing, but it comes with the world, it comes with the culture. You know what I mean? So I think to overcome that, that's kind of where I found myself being able to use all my arms and become an octopus, if you will, and just being able to songwrite and be able to get behind the scenes and do some things and be able to artist manage and be able to do creative direction for artists and do all these different type of things that I always wanted to do, because now I let rap kind of step out of the shadow of my own career, if that makes any sense. So just letting my mind be more open, being more creative, and just being more optimistic with all my avenues and all my gifts is how I stay afloat, really, and how I stay creative and how I stay motivated, because now I understand it ain't me. This is just what the world is. And once you analyze that and understand that it ain't about your gift, it's just about it's the shape of the world, or the shape of the music industry and the shape of the sound of where the entertainment business is right now. So just finding your way through that ocean a little bit, if you will, is the key for sure.
Do you feel that the market right now is overwhelmed, especially in US?
Yes and no. I feel like it's a pro and a con with how it is, because the good thing is me and you can make a song right now on this interview, right, and put it out on SoundCloud and go viral and be famous by tonight, right, literally. But the thing is, anybody sitting in a room could put out a song right now, go viral by tonight, or at least they think they have the opportunity to. So now it's submerged and oversaturated with artists that want to put out music, which is cool, because we all have the right to chase our dream and put our art out, regardless what our talent level is. We all have the right to do it. But at the same time, it's kind of like New York traffic with 150 yellow taxis on one street. At some point, nobody's going to be able to get out of here. Nobody's going to be able to take a right or a left or go straight or go back, because we're just all going to be stuck because we all going to be flooded. You know what I mean? So it's that type of example of how the music industry is right now. So if you can find your crack through it and make it through, it's a lot of ways to make money. TikTok, YouTube, and you know what I mean? It's different ways to utilize social media and utilize the internet and utilize the freedom that streaming music allows. But the same thing is, like I said, it's a pro and a con. So it's a double-edged sword of that same narrative. So it's just finding your way through it and being able to utilize it the right way.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
For the podcast. It was super inspiring, and please, guys, don't forget to dream and to achieve.
Listen, if you don't get nothing from me from this podcast, don't ever give up. Stay focused, stay resilient, stay hungry, stay inspired. Don't let nobody tell you what you can and you cannot do. All we got is today. Don't focus on yesterday. Tomorrow ain't promised. Go get it. Start your legacy. Start your journey right now, man, for sure. Don't wait. Don't wait.